Welcome back. We are now going to talk about communicating the right way. And communication is huge for me. If you know me, that's my major, that's my bread and butter. And it is important because a lot of people struggle with this. And not just when it comes to talking about the value of your service or your product, but even how you can build relationships, business relationships that grow and mature into life changing relationships. But right now, we're talking about how we can communicate your product or your service when we're marketing it, right? Communication is essential to successful marketing. And that's why those two broads go together, even though they're separate, right? Communications, marketing are not the same thing, but they need each other. I mean, marketing needs communications, right? Poor or unfocused communications will not help close a sale. And communication requires practice, understanding of value, and entertainment. It is also essential that all communication occurs through the media that will best reach the clients. Because you don't want to be trying to reach professionals. You don't want to try to be reaching C-suite members on TikTok and communicating using slangs for sixth or fifth graders, right? Um, So let's discuss the marketing pitch. The marketing pitch is a traditional method of communication. If you do it correctly, it will create interest in your product. If it is not done correctly, potential clients will lose interest very quickly, and your pitch may take place in person and it could take place online. Regardless of the method, there are basic steps that you need to improve the success of your marketing pitch. And the first one is just be concise. Pitches need to be short and focused, 30 seconds to a minute, if possible. But I mean, when you're talking about a marketing pitch, don't make it more than 5 minutes. When you're talking about an elevator pitch, don't make it more than 1 minute, depending on your product or your situation. A pitch is an introduction, so do not overload it with information and don't ramble. You just want to get to the what, why, when, and who, right? And then write down your pitch ahead of time and focus on few of your selling points. Focus on what makes you better than the competitor. Focus on what extra added value you bring that's not really very conversant in the marketplace. Then practice it. That's the third thing you should do. Practice your pitch in the mirror, practice it in front of others, make changes as necessary before you go out and have that pitch. Okay? Now, when you're pitching your product or your service, one of the big secrets in the market that you should do is to sell the value and not sell the price. When communicating with customers, the message shouldn't be all about better or lower prices. Oh, we're better, we're cheaper. No, it should be about the value and the service that you can offer. Only one third of customers completely base purchases on price. A lot, a lot more customers base their purchases on the value that they could get out of that service or out of that product. And most customers are looking for value. So, in order to sell value to customers, you need to understand what it is they actually value. Okay, so knowing your target market is essential in this process, and that's why we started this course with really trying to understand your target market. For example, young eco friendly customers are willing to pay more for products that reduce their carbon footprints. Once you have established the values of your market, you need to follow a few basic guidelines that I'm going to share right now. Number one is link your service strength, the strength of your service or your product, link it to what the customer values. Okay? Link it to what the customer values. And then be confident about that product, be confident about the service, be confident about the value that that service brings. And then make sure that you offer extraordinary service. As people say, over deliver. I know it sounds cliche now, but that's the way to go. Over deliver every single time. over deliver every single time. And that's why that's how relationships flourish. Especially in business, that's how loyalty is built too, because they understand that as a service provider, you actually care for them. That you're not just trying to take their money, you actually want to see them transform. You want to see transformation and change happen. You want to see them reach their desired outcome. You want to see them get the results they so desire. Okay? Okay. Now, another thing that I always talk about, and I talked about this in the 3 speaking courses, that's the Power Presenter, the Unforgettable Communicator, and Speak with Authority. In those 3 courses, they're focused heavily on communication. And one thing that I said when, I think in one of them or in 2 of them, is as much as it's important to laden your communication or your information with facts and figures and statistics, people don't always want facts, figures, and statistics. It's important for potential customers to understand everything that you have to offer, and you have to make it as foolproof as possible. But you need to be able to catch and maintain their interest. And many times, the average human just wants to feel relaxed, just wants a little bit of fun, something a little entertaining. Except that person is a sad person, just naturally sad. But everybody wants to be able to laugh. Everybody wants to be able to let their hair down, right? So it's important to add a little fun to your communication. Make it a little entertaining. Fun and entertaining communication will easily, all the time, catch the interest of your target audience. And that's not to say be all fun and games and unserious. No. Still come with the facts, still come with, the value, but put a little humor in there if you can. Right? Entertaining content will help customers forget that you're trying to sell something to them. That's the truth. If you can make them smile, if you can make them laugh many times, you don't have to force their hand. And they are likely to discuss the marketing attempt with others too. For example, there are those commercials that air during the Super Bowl. And you have to think about how much attention people are willing to give to those commercials. Because it adds a bit of fun, right? Now, another interesting and very important aspect of communication is making sure that you're choosing the right media. It's important to communicate with your target audience. If you do not use the correct media, it could be a problem. For example, overlooking social media for younger customers will almost guarantee that they do not receive your communication. And also the type of social media matters. So choosing the right media depends on your customer, depends on your budget. And you could use traditional methods, you could use digital methods, depending on what works. There's radio, we've got television, we've got publications, we've got the internet, social media, right? So what works? Find what works for you. Find where your customers hang out more and use that media to communicate with them. All right? All right, so let's keep the conversation going.